Welcome back to part 2 of the birthday book haul. Now, I'll be honest, I've got a couple of books after my birthday as well, but I wanted to throw them into this haul because I just think they're really interesting and I think it's worth sharing. I have them. So the first thing I'm going to share with you is these Walking Dead comics or graphic novels. So I've got the first 4. I've actually got these off eBay. They're about £6 a book. I didn't think it was too bad, and they're in really good condition. I think there's something like, wow, the seller that I'm buying these from, there's 65 of them. So I'm treating myself to a couple of months so it doesn't get too overwhelming. But these are basically, just the graphic novels, which obviously inspired the TV show. I really like what I've read so far, but I have found immediate differences between the graphic novels and the TV shows. Of course, you expect that. It's more the fact that there's certain characters that didn't actually exist in the graphic novels. And there's certain characters that are killed off in different ways to how they are in the TV show. So it's just getting used to all of that is. But these are really cool. Like I said, I've got the first 4 and I'm hoping that over the next coming months I'll be able to get the majority of them. So I also ended up going on the works again, as I mentioned in the last video, and buying some books. And the first one is this one, which is called The Dagger and the Flame. Sorry, this was distracting me. The back. And it just says that in a deadly game of revenge, the most dangerous mistake of all is falling in love. And again, it's got a bit of a sprayed edge. Again, I didn't really read what this one was about, so I'm hoping that I enjoy it. But we will see. Another book that drew me in from the way it looked was Of Fire and Fury. I do think I've actually seen this one advertised or reviewed on TikTok. And it just says on the back, on the island of Sendor, Phoenix racing is the most profitable and deadly work you can find. No one knows that better than Phoenix Tamer. Tensions rise on and off the track when Cal is forced to team up with one rider she can't stand. So this kind of reminds me a little bit of Fourth Wing in a way, like the kind of the rivalry thing. I don't know which one came first. I could be completely wrong that they're the same, like kind of similar, but I'm not, I'm going to read it and find out. And then again, it's got the sprayed edges, which I absolutely love, and just that kind of pearlescent front, which is really pretty. Next, we have a book that I brought, again, purely on how it looks. I've never read a book like this, and it's called Untamed Heart, and it's just really sweet on the side. I just thought it looked really cool. And this one is very clearly a love story. Someone who worked in a city is now going to be living in her family's ranch. It's set in Wyoming, and it's all about someone having to earn their place. Now, it's not actually that thick. This one compared to like this one, it's actually not that thick, but I feel like this is going to get smutty. This one is going to get really smutty, which is interesting. You can just tell sometimes we're looking at certain books, and I think this is going to have some smut in it. So yes, I'll let you know what I think of that. What I'm going to do at the end of the year is just do a roundup of the books I have read. I haven't read as many as I normally would read in a year, but I'm going to give a little review of what I have read, and then give them a score out of 10 and go through the things I did and didn't like about them. Next, we have The Sky on Fire, and again, I've clearly got something about sprayed edges at the moment. And this one is about dragons, power, revenge, and impossible theft, just to read the bit at the top there. I feel like, again, I like fantasy books. I have been trying to get my way through Iron Flame, I think it's called. I can't remember now. Yeah, Iron Flame. I kind of fell off the wagon with that one a little bit, but now because Onyx Storm is out, I really want to finish off one so I can start the other and kind of conclude that story, if it concludes. I'm not sure if it does, but I really do like fantasy. I like my kind of purpose behind reading is to escape into something. Sometimes I don't want something I can relate to. I want something that is so far-fetched, like dragons and magic and stuff like that, that I will turn to a book like this. I'm not really a factual reader. I don't really read for information, not books anyway. So for me, having something I can really get involved in and escape with, that's top for me. Next is a book that doesn't have a sprayed edge, but it's a book that, again, I think I've seen advertised on, well, I say advertised, just on Book Talk, everyone's going crazy about it, and it's Phantasma. It's a dark fantasy novel. I've not really read anything that I think you can class as dark fantasy, or dark romance, sorry. Dark fantasy romance. Not read anything of those three genres. I've read things like 50 Shades of Grey. Doesn't really fit into fantasy in a way. I don't really feel like in the same way that this would, that you think fantasy would. I've read romance, and I think I probably have read dark before, but not all as one genre, so I'm quite excited to see what this one's about. This book was about £6. Like most of these books were £6, all on the works, so I thought for £6 I'll give it a go. If I don't like it, I'll just donate it to a place near me which resells books, and the money goes to charity, so someone will enjoy it. The last book that I got is one that actually I wasn't intending on buying. I didn't know it existed, and I saw the author's name and I just picked it up, and this is a new Rebecca Yarros book called The Things We Leave Unfinished. And again, I love the way it looked, love the sides. I don't know what it's about, but also inside, this is the thing that gets me, is that these little details to things, and I'm a sucker for a good cover on a book. And this one, just looking at it, says it's an epic and sweeping romance about sacrifices we make for love and endings we don't want to see coming. This one is retailed at £20, but I got it for £11 from Tesco's, so absolute bargain there in the terms of buying a new book anyway. Like I said, I don't really know what it's about. This one feels like it's going to be a bit heavier. It's going to be a bit more towards like the realism side than the fantasy sort of side. So this one I'll probably read alongside something else, so I have a way to escape into something else if I need to. So they're all the books that I brought on or around my birthday. I think in the end I ended up with about 16 books, which is pretty good for me. Usually I would buy, to be fair, usually I buy all my books secondhand anyway, just, to recycle stuff, but the fact I managed to find so many new good books was quite good. It was quite exciting for me there as well. One last thing before I sign off for you guys, I am still reading the Jacqueline Wilson Think Again. That book is smutty. That I wasn't expecting. Jacqueline Wilson, for those of you who have maybe not seen part one or aren't familiar with her books, she, for me, when I was a teenager growing up in the early noughties, she was an author that I read a lot of. I say early teen, so probably from the age of about 10 to about 15, her books kind of appealed to me, especially with things like The Illustrated Mum, which was a bit of a heavier subject matter, versus things like Tracy Beaker, which was, suitable for me at a younger age. To then flip-flop over onto Think Again was quite a change. I love the writing style, I love the story. I do struggle to put it down some days, because I just get to a point where I'm like, I need to know what happens next. But there was some smut I was not expecting, and I was reading it whilst I was in a hospital waiting room, and it took me by surprise. So if you guys do read it, I really encourage you to read it, because it's a really great story, especially if you're a Jacqueline Wilson fan. Just be aware that it's a little bit smutty. But that's it for this video, guys. I just wanted to pop on and show you the rest of the books that I had acquired over my birthday. We will be back to regular content from next week, the general Star Wars, Hunger Games, Lord of the Rings, Walking Dead type stuff anyway. Let me know if there's anything you want to see in particular. Let me know if you've enjoyed this sort of video with hauls, reviews, stuff like that, and I'll look to do more in the future. But until next time, you take care.